the Pledge of Allegiance. Are we good to go? Yep. Great. It's been a while. Please bow your heads. It is our first gathering as a new council, and a new beginning is always a good place to start. We recently concluded Hanukkah and will soon begin our celebrations of Christmas and Kwanzaa. So tonight, in that spirit, I would like for us to think about the next 4 years as a place to set aside our differences, to work toward the welfare and true needs of the residents of our community. I would hope that we all have a thirst for doing what is right. I want us to each have confidence to work together in harmony, even when there is honest disagreement. And lastly, I hope that we are given the wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our time. May we all seek assurances that our work will benefit those who live and work in and around our beloved city of Annapolis. Amen. Call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mayor Buckley?
Aye.
Alderwoman Tierney?
Here.
Alderwoman O'Neill? Here. Alderwoman Kendall Charles?
Here.
Alderwoman Finlayson?
Present.
Alderwoman Shandemeyer?
Present.
Alderwoman Gay? Alderwoman Savage?
Present.
Alderwoman Arnett?
Present.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda, beginning with ceremonial items.
So moved.
Second.
Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mayor Buckley?
Aye.
Alderwoman Tierney?
Aye.
Alderwoman O'Neill? Aye. Alderwoman Kendall Charles?
Aye.
Alderwoman Finlayson?
Aye.
Alderwoman Shandemeyer?
Aye.
Alderwoman Gay?
Aye.
Alderwoman Savage?
Sorry, point of information. What was the motion? I missed
Of
it.
the agenda.
Approval of the agenda.
Oh, okay. Aye.
Alderman Arnett?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, the next item on the agenda is ceremonial items, beginning with a presentation from the Annapolis boat shows.
Mary Ewanson, if you want to come forward, I'll meet you at the podium here. I think there's a handoff here.
Okay, I have a couple things I wanted to share.
If you want to speak into that.
Speak into that. Can you all hear me? Perfect. It's wonderful to see you all here tonight. It's wonderful to be here after having successful boat shows for 2021. As you know, we didn't have boat shows in 2020. Wasn't good for us. It wasn't good for the city. This year we had record attendance, and we had boat shows that were safe in a festive atmosphere, thanks to coordination between our team, led by Sheila Jones, our new general manager, and really excellent coordination with the mayor's office, the Department of Public Works, the Office of Emergency Management, and the Annapolis and Anne Arundel County Police and Fire Departments. We met often to make sure that we were pulling off really good shows that were safe for the community. Our new boat show ownership team, Peter Trogdon and Bob Crane are there with me, and it meant so much to us to see the big welcome back boat shows sign that the city put down in the circle at the base of Main Street. It really was great to feel so welcomed, and many of our exhibitors commented on that, how nice that was. Despite the supply chain issues, vendors and dealers at the shows reported that they made sales, and we expect this great new enthusiasm to continue for years to come. Prior to the sailboat show, our team took members of the City Dock design team on a tour to help them better understand what goes into making these internationally recognized shows. And we are very excited about the City Dock redesign. We know the initial drawings need some tweaking, and we're really looking forward to being at the table on that and working with the city to make sure that the City Dock is great for everybody. We'll be back in the spring with the Annapolis Spring Sailboat Show. It's April 29th to May 1st. Today, we're going to be presenting you guys with the city with checks. The total that is due to the city was over $600,000, but because of a repair we did that the city is reimbursing us for, the checks come out to just shy of $600,000, which is up by about 100. So we're very excited to present this, and we'll be back in April with another check. All right,
Awesome.
it's all
Thank
yours.
you. Thank you so much.
Thank you all so
Show
much.
was so
We really appreciate it.
Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item is a City Council citation to the Greater Parole Community Association 70th anniversary.
Ronnie, you need...
We ask that the members of the executive leadership team for the Greater Parole Community Association please come forward. First of all, I'd like to say congratulations to the Greater Parole Community Association for 70 years of outstanding service. And at this time, we will read the City of Annapolis City Council citation to you all. On behalf of the residents of the City of Annapolis, we are pleased to confer upon you the City Council citation in recognition of your 70th anniversary. Congratulations. Since your founding originally as the Parole Improvement Association, your leaders and community volunteers have worked tirelessly to improve the lives of residents of the parole community. Over the past 7 decades, your organization has worked on issues to improve quality of life for residents, including housing, infrastructure, education, healthcare, and delivery of city services. From the earliest days of your organization, your volunteers have worked to elect superior representation on the Annapolis City Council. We know that into the future, you will continue to thrive as an organization and will work tirelessly to promote the culture, values, and unique history of parole. Thank you for all you've done for not only parole, but all of Annapolis, given under our hands and the Great Seal of the City of Annapolis this 13th day of December, 2021, signed by our Mayor, Gavin Buckley, as well as all of our alderpersons, Alderwoman Tierney, Ward 1, our newest Alderwoman, Karma O'Neill, Ward 2, Ward 3, yours truly, Ward 4, Alderwoman Sheila Finlayson, Ward 5, Brooke Shandelmeyer, Ward 6, Alderman DeJuan Gay, Ward 7, Alderman Rob Savage, and Ward 8, Alderman Ross H. Arnett III. Thank you all and congratulations. Why don't you all come on around, Mr. Mayor?
Good. Good. See you. Are you good? Thank you for all you do. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, I believe Mr. Harris has a few remarks.
Okay. First of all, good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the new council. Take this off, it'll be better. When the community of Parole was annexed to the city of Annapolis in 1951, the residents were extremely pleased and optimistic. They had officially become Annapolitans and citizens of this beautiful historic city. To ensure that they had a strong voice in the future of the community and the city of Annapolis, a group of concerned citizens organized what is now the Greater Parole Community Association. Residents of Parole were delighted that annexation and the anticipated benefits would tremendously increase their quality of life. Throughout 70 years of existence, the Greater Parole Community Association has provided numerous talented volunteers to the boards and commissions of this city, providing them with unique and vital service opportunities. Additionally, during this period, parole citizens have elected 5 alderpersons as representatives on the city council, including recently re-elected Alderwoman Rhonda Pendell Charles. On behalf of the officers and members of the Greater Parole Community Association, I accept this prestigious citation with sincere appreciation and humility. Thank you.
Just a couple of tidbits I'd like to add. I think I counted up the number of streets in Ward 3, and there are about 100, and 36 of those streets are named for prominent persons and families within our parole community, as well as nationally renowned persons as well. We also have approximately, in GPCA, approximately 475 members. So they have done a marvelous job, the executive leadership team, in having monthly meetings and garnering membership. And lastly, I know they have quite a few projects based on their monthly meetings that they're looking to launch, and I'm sure the city will be very interested in knowing about them and supporting them as well. So thank you all so very much. God bless you all.
Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is petition reports and communications. First item is updates from the mayor.
Let you get back in your seat. So good evening, aldermen and alderwomen. Congratulations on your victories and welcome back. To Alderwoman O'Neill, I would like to extend a warm welcome on behalf of the council on the occasion of your first city council meeting as a member. Best of luck. Let's hear it for you. Four years, no going back now. I want us to take a moment to acknowledge the 64 lives lost in Friday's tornadoes that devastated much of Western Kentucky. There are still more than 100 people unaccounted for, and our hearts go out to these communities. We know from recent experience that such weather events happen very quickly, but the recovery takes a long time. In Annapolis, we luckily had no loss of life when an EF2 tornado touched down in September, but we are still working on getting our residents help from the state of Maryland. I believe we got some good news today on that. Nice work, Alderman Pindell-Charles. So I'd like us to take a moment to honour those lives with a moment of silence, please. Thank you. To the people of Kentucky, Godspeed in your rescue and recovery efforts. Earlier this month, I was honoured to have been invited to light the menorah at City Dock, and on the same night, flip the switch on the lights for Annapolis's Christmas tree at Market Space. In a few weeks, our residents will be celebrating Kwanzaa. I'd like to wish all of our residents the joy of this holiday season. I hope you all checked out the photos in today's front page of the Capitol. People are recognizing how beautiful the city looks with all the festive lights. I want to thank our city staff, especially the Department of Public Works, for their hard work in making the city sparkle. I want to acknowledge and thank the Annapolis JCs and the local landscaping business, Garden Girls, for their work on the greenery and the lights. If you haven't had the opportunity to go downtown, please do. We have a third Midnight Madness coming up this Thursday. The last one was huge. So Annapolis will resume city-sponsored New Year's Eve celebrations, narrowed a little from previous years. There will be no event at Bates this year. Instead, we're moving it all to Susan Campbell Park at City Dock. Beginning at 4 p.m. on December 31, the family-friendly part of the evening will commence with a DJ and bands, as well as giveaways from WNAV and WRNR. That will conclude with a 5:30 round of fireworks in the harbour. Then, at 9 p.m, the fun will continue with a second round of dancing and DJs, and then at midnight, more fireworks on the harbour. I hope that everyone has a safe and healthy celebration. A reminder, if you haven't been vaccinated or boosted, please do so. The vaccines are free and readily available from health departments and your local pharmacy. If you plan on celebrating with a group, it's easy to get tested. Free rapid test kits are available at the local library. It can help slow the spread of the virus. Our case rates are rising and hospital beds are filling up, mostly with unvaccinated patients. So this is our new normal. We must do our best to protect one another and the public's health. I thank those who care enough for their fellow humans to get vaccinated and take the shot. Thank you. Coming up at 7 p.m. on December 21 will be the first meeting at Pittmoyer Recreation Centre of the Ward Boundaries Task Force. You will recall this group was appointed back in April. Their charge is to balance the districts, the 8 wards of our city, to ensure equal representation. Reworking the ward boundaries is required after each 10-year census count. The latest data puts our current Annapolis population at 40,951. That means each ward should have around 5,000 residents. According to the standard deviation allowable, Ward 2 has too many and Ward 7 has too few. Therefore, the Commission will look at ways to redraw the ward maps to even out those numbers. This may or may not impact any or all of the other wards in the city. I want to thank residents who are volunteering to serve on this task force, and that is chaired by our former councilman, Jared Lippman. I want to thank him for that. We encourage participation in this process and these meetings are designed to take public input. So please get involved if you would like to. They will submit their recommendations to us in 6 months. I look forward to seeing what they come up with. Also want to thank everyone who helped us with the swearing-in ceremonies and the inaugural ball. We had the opportunity to celebrate with our friends and supporters and to acknowledge the hard work of our campaigns and our volunteers. Thank you all of you that are listening. Thank you all of you that are here. Later tonight, we will be on the top of the garage getting a City Council group photo. So I'm looking forward to that because we missed out on West Street and the inauguration. So we are doing that tonight, okay? And just before, maybe while they demolish it. Right? Tonight, with the co-sponsorship of all the members of the council, thank you, we will be introducing the Annapolis Electric Mobility Plan. It can be scary to try new things, but we no longer light our street lights with whale oil after boiling whale blubber. We took out the kerosene lamps and made them electric. That is to say, society's advance. We know we have to get away from reliance on fossil fuels. The city fleet has put more than 2.5 million miles on city vehicles between January 1 and December 1 of this year. That equates to $500,000 in fuel costs and another $650,000 in maintenance costs. Of our current fleet, 346 vehicles, we already have a half a dozen hybrids and a couple of biodiesels, more than 3 dozen flex fuel vehicles. We must make a commitment to require more energy efficiency in our fleet vehicles. It saves in fuel and maintenance costs, and it's better for the planet. In recent conversations with our federal partners, we know they have infrastructure dollars to spend. Annapolis is ready to receive those infrastructure dollars. And now this is the last item. This weekend, our beloved United States Naval Academy gave the cadets at West Point a lesson in humility with a nice 17-13 victory in their Saturday football matchup. Navy was not favored going in, but those guys had a really, really good day. I had wagered crab cakes against New York pizza from Mayor D'Onofrio of Highland Falls. That's the hometown of West Point. Mayor Joe nearly had me convinced by the 3-8 record for Navy that I was going to be paying for this a second year in a row. Navy said no to that, and Mayor Joe will be eating crow and delivering New York pizza to City Hall. Yes. Thank you, Mayor Joe. Go Navy, you beat Army. Now let's get on with the council meeting. Mr. City Attorney.
Yes, sir. The next item is comments by the general public.
No, is it comments by the council? Sorry.
Nope, comments by the general public.
No, nothing. Okay. Nothing from the general public. Nothing from the council to report, I guess, because we're just starting over again, right? Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda. There's some general public comments over here. Alderman Pindell-Charles.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The first meeting of the Public Safety Committee will be meeting on Monday, February the 4th at 4 o'clock. We're going to have a very robust presentation by our Annapolis Fire Department. In February, a very robust presentation by our Annapolis City Police Department. And in March, a very robust presentation by our Office of Emergency Management. So I ask everyone and the general public to tune in to see exactly what our police, fire, and Office of Emergency Management are doing for this coming year as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm just going to read into the record that James Kevin of 778 Fairview Avenue, Apartment B, submitted an online format. Thank you. Alderman O'Neill, did you have your hand up? Nope, okay. So I declare comments by the general public closed. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is consent calendar.
Okay, do I have to adopt that?
Yes.
Can I get a motion to adopt the consent calendar?
So moved.
Can I get a second? Alderman Gay?
I have a question as something that's on the consent calendar. Should I just pull it?
Mr. City Attorney?
You gotta say what it is you're trying to pull.
I
There's
would like
nothing, there's nothing to pull.
Well, business and miscellaneous is on the consent calendar, isn't it? And so I would like to pull ID 23521, 2022 City Council work session dates, or I would just like to have a question on it.
Would you like to ask a question? Yep.
Yeah, my question is, because previously it's been stated, oh, the council's voted on it, so it's already set in stone. These meetings are set to start at the same time that we've traditionally set them at, which has not worked for any of us. Neither has the stop time, because we always end up getting in the work session meeting and closing it at 5, and it's just a mess. And so what can we do now before we vote and approve on this to fix it, or is it already done? Well, maybe we push it back to like 4 to 6 or something. I mean, so, yeah, obviously the 3 to 5 doesn't work.
Regina?
4 to 6 would not work either. The Board of Elections has the meeting room that has the chambers that night, and they have to meet in here because we have to record.
So is there still some flexibility in the times that can be set up?
Yeah.
So there's still some flexibility with the committees to set their own times. That's
Not committees, for work sessions.
work
Work
sessions.
Yeah, because the work session is typically scheduled on the third Thursday of the month before the Board of Supervisors of Elections meeting. So if you go later than 5, we kind of have to have a stop around 6:30ish so we can set up for our next.
So why can't we just change is the code state that the work session has to be the third Thursday of the month?
No,
They
So
do.
Can we just change the date?
we would have to pull this off of the calendar and find a date that's available, because the room is booked with the typical meetings that happen every month on certain days. So we would have to look. I wouldn't have the answer to that today.
Alderman Savage, then Alderman Schnellmeyer.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask who has problems with the 3 o'clock?
When have you attended a work session where the mayor hasn't had to bolt out of the door at 5 o'clock, where we have 2 presentations, one starts, we all have questions, they don't get through it, we have to reschedule, and we end up doubling the work sessions for the month? Or am I just making stuff up that happened the last 2 years? You don't remember that?
Well, I do, but that's.
So that's not an
I thought
issue?
the question was just start time. I mean, I understand the 2 hours. I think it's more a matter of what we put on the agenda and making sure we have enough time for discussion. But that's we kind of allocate 2 hours for those meetings. If we want to change that, then maybe we should specify that and get a block that's 3 or 4 hours, whatever you think might be necessary. But
So
I know Alderman Schnellmeyer you've had a problem with getting there at 3, right?
Yeah. I'll get to my point after.
Okay.
After yours.
Yeah.
I'm
So
just
I agree that's a
suggesting-
problem,
yeah.
but I think that's more a problem with putting too many things on the agenda and we don't have enough time for discussion. I think that's kind of a separate issue, unless you want to make the block longer.
I would just like to fix it so that we can actually have productive work sessions.
So, Mr. City Attorney?
This item has to come off the agenda, because right now, before you is a consent calendar. The more you debate this particular issue, the more it's outside of the consent. So if you want to pull it, then this comes off and you can vote on the consent calendar.
Yeah, I asked that, so I would like to pull that there.
Just the work session?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
We put it to the back? Yeah.
It'd be the. Yes, we put it. So it'd be the last item.
Yeah, it could be the last item.
Okay.
So the consent calendar now includes the work dates,
And the meeting minutes.
the meeting dates, and the special meeting minutes from the two meetings.
And we already have a,
So you have a motion on the floor to adopt the consent calendar with the amendment.
I had a request from Alderman Shannon on discussion still. He hasn't had a chance to speak.
Well, here's the thing. You can't talk
Mayor.
about something you've now removed from the consent calendar.
Okay.
The
Can you save
debate,
your
the date,
comments to the end?
I can save my comments for the end.
There you go.
I have a second question on a point of procedure. Since the motion has been first and seconded, do you need me to withdraw the motion in order to proceed?
Yes, we need to start over.
Okay, so I will withdraw my motion to proceed on the consent calendar.
So now we need a new motion to move the consent calendar without the city council work dates.
Mr. Mayor, I move the consent calendar with ID 234-21 only.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Okay. So,
Excuse me, I'm sorry. It includes the approval of the journal proceedings, so it includes the special meeting minutes as well.
I motion to do whatever I need to do to make Mike Laws happy.
okay, as long as we're not talking about
So
anything
now-
related to that. Alderman Tierney?
Yeah, now that it's seconded, I just want to mention, I know we don't say this very often, but in reading the meeting minutes, I just want to commend whoever wrote them because there were 8 pages dedicated to the maritime ordinance and it was just incredible meeting minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Finlayson?
You need a second, Mr. Mayor.
Now we got a second over here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we withdrawing, point of information, are we withdrawing 234 and 235 from the
No,
consent calendar?
just 235.
Just 235, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Now we need a motion.
You're good now. That ends the consent calendar, Mr. Mayor, and you're on to legislative action.
no, we gotta do a roll call. Mayor Buckley? Consent calendar needs a roll call. Mayor Buckley?
Aye.
Alderwoman Tierney?
Aye.
Alderwoman O'Neill? Aye. Alderwoman Kendall Charles?
Aye.
Alderman Finlayson?
Aye.
Alderman Shandemeyer?
Aye.
Alderman Gay?
Aye.
Alderman Savage?
Aye.
Alderman Arnett?
Aye.
Okay.
Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
The next item on the agenda is first readers R3121, standing committee appointments.
Is there a motion to adopt R-31-21?
So moved.
Can we get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? Alderman Gay?
Yes. I've expressed to the city manager that I am not interested in serving on public safety or economic matters for that matter. I don't want my attendance of not participating to be reflected negatively, so I'd like to be removed or swapped or whatever.
Mr. City Manager?
Noted.
Okay, thank you for noting that.
Yeah, I'm just, I don't know how that works. I don't want to be, docked for not attending. I just have no interest in that. I think, this was a mess.
Okay, anyone else?
There have to be, 3 people on the committee.
Sorry?
There have to be 3, because if you voted, the votes would always be defeated. I mean, how could you, well, I guess you could pass it with 2, but I don't know. They vote in opposition, they're gonna defeat a lot of bills.
Well, Alderman Gay, you'll be on the committee and let's work out how we move things around if there's a possibility there, okay? So if you want to vote against this, you could vote against it. Alderman Pendle Charles?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Alderman Gay, is regarding the public safety, is the time a problem? Because we can certainly discuss that. I'm sorry.
It's not an issue, no ma'am.
What is the issue?
I just would not like to serve on that committee.
I mean, you must have a reason.
I would like to be swapped to something that would stronger suit my interest.
All right. Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed?
No.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item agenda. Oh, we're going to suspend the rules here or not?
If you want, Mr. Mayor.
I don't think we can suspend the rules because we need all the votes, so I won't do that. Right?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item agenda.
Next item is,
Hold on a second. For clarification purposes, did I hear you say that your meeting was January what? Public
It's
hearing?
Monday, January is that 3rd or
You
4th?
can't have your meeting if the standing committees have not been approved.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay. so
Then I withdraw that
just-
information.
Okay.
Thanks.
Just wanted to make sure. Okay.
the next item on the agenda is R3221, Audit Committee, Aldermanic Appointments.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt R-32-21 on first reader?
So moved?
Get a second?
Second?
Alderman Savage.
Just stating for the record that I really think we need to revisit down the road alderpersons being on this committee. I know this was created, I think, during the last administration, but I still think, we've made changes to the housing committee, subcommittee, to remove alderpersons, and I think in this case, it would better suit the actual mission of the audit committee to have alderpersons not be a voting member on there. But, I'm not going to do anything to block this. I'm just saying that in the future, I might be looking to introduce something. We tried it last session, but it failed. But I might like to have more discussion. Thanks.
Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Is there a motion to suspend the rules to allow the passage of this resolution, R32-21, and the meaning of its introduction?
So moved?
Can I get a second?
Second.
Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Sure. Mayor Buckley?
Aye.
Alderwoman Tierney?
Aye.
Alderwoman O'Neill? Aye. Alderwoman Kendall Charles?
Aye.
Alderwoman Finlayson?
Aye.
Alderman Shandell Meyer?
Aye.
Alderman Gay?
Aye.
Alderman Savage?
Aye.
Alderman Arnett? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item agenda.
Now you gotta vote on that on second.
You got to vote on it now, Mr. Mayor,
Oh, sorry.
to pass.
Need a motion
Is that a
on
roll
second
call
reading.
too?
No, you need a motion on second reading.
Okay, could I get a motion on second reader, please?
So moved?
Could I get a second? Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. This for 30,
Opposed?
We need a vote.
this for 3321.
Huh?
I think this is
Second reader, and we're gonna do the roll call. Mayor Buckley?
Aye.
Alderwoman Tierney?
Aye.
For
Alderwoman
3321.
O'Neill? Aye. Alderwoman Kendall Charles?
Aye.
Alderman Finlayson?
Aye.
Alderman Shandell Meyer?
Aye.
Alderman Gay?
Aye.
Alderman Savage?
Abstain.
Alderman Arnett?
Is this was for 3321, correct?
3221.
Oh, okay.
All right, passes. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is R3321, Budget Process Timeline for Fiscal Year 2023.
Is there a motion to adopt R-33-21 on first reader?
So moved?
Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Have a, just noting that one of the meetings suggested, because it doesn't say we have to meet, but knowing this group, I feel like we will meet, is the 23rd. That's 2 days before Christmas. Just making that known. I know how y'all all about your holidays. So, FYI.
Thank you. Alderman Savage?
This is for R3321, you said?
Yep.
Yeah, just to give folks a heads up, I'm considering a couple of amendments on this just to add some dates regarding when the union is supposed to get information to the council.
So we won't suspend the rules? We'll,
Yeah, we have to suspend the rules to
Oh,
adopt
we
it
have
on
to
second
suspend,
reading.
oh, well,
But you're not finishing vote on first.
You gotta-
Oh, yeah,
yes.
I'm sorry.
okay. Well, I don't think it's quite worth it then, but I guess I'll just point out that a couple dates that the code specifies, and negotiations have started already, but the code specifies they're supposed to start no later than October. But also, once they reach an agreement, that the memorandum of such an agreement has to be submitted to the council. And that has to come, let's see, along with the submission with the budget. Because I think in the past, I say that just because I think in the past we've not always had the agreement submitted with the budget. I don't know if during this administration, but I know in the past. So in any case, just pointing that out, that when we get the budget, I think we need to have that with that.
Okay, any more comments? All those in favour of adopting R-33-21 on first reader?
We'll finish that. We need to motion to suspend the rules.
I haven't got to that yet, we haven't voted yet.
You did. Alderman Meyer was a second, and we had all in favor.
No, the motion is second, then the vote.
Okay.
I believe we were still on the first reader motion.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, all those, sorry, yeah, we're a little rusty here, it's been a while. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Is there a motion to suspend the rules?
Second.
Thank you. At the meaning of its introduction, I think we need a roll call for this, do we? Yes. Or not?
It's on you. Up to you.
So we've got a motion, we've got a second, right? And aye?
I'm sorry. Because just in case this comes up during the budget process, because it was stated by the city attorney that the reason for the push last time, that there was a note in here that says deadline for amendments to be submitted by the council. That's not in here. And so if you submit a submit an amendment, there is no cutoff here, just to be clear, okay? I've looked over it. I don't see anywhere in here where it says, unless I'm missing it. Am I overlooking it?
May 16th.
Sorry.
What page is that?
It's on the second page at the top. May 16th, 2022, due date for budget amendment ideas and recommendations from the city council members.
May 16th, is that okay?
I want to amend to remove that.
Okay, we're not on second reader yet.
Well, then I'm not going to vote to suspend the rules.
Okay. Well, I think it's in the code, so we don't have your vote. Let's just vote.
Is it
to
in the
suspend
code
rules.
that there is a deadline for amendments?
Mr. City Attorney?
It's a council deadline. It is, it's not.
My fear is a lot happens between May the 16th and June the 6th, which would be the day for full budget discussion and deliberation. And so I just would like to remove that piece if possible. Can I just remove it on the floor without interrupting your process and so that we can still suspend the rules tonight?
We started the vote, though, didn't we?
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules. And we're ready to do a roll call.
So we can vote that down and start again, can
Well,
we?
that's a motion to suspend the rules to vote on second reader. So and it can be amended on second reader.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So
So-
let's just do the.
So just so that we're clear, I will vote to suspend the rules here now. We get into second reader and I can vote for an amendment on the floor.
Yes. I don't see that one.
Well, I need your help on that, thank you.
I'm just looking at I'm looking at, begging the council's indulgence, looking at the annual city budget, 616-010A. By the second Monday, the city council, second Monday in May each year, the city council shall receive recommendations made to the finance committee. And so the budget shall be referred to the finance committee, which shall review and make recommendations with regard to the budget and shall submit the budget together with any recommendations to the city council not later than the second Monday in May of each year. I think that's why the May 16th deadline is there, because any recommendations, of course, amendments and all of that would be submitted to you by that time.
The second Monday is the 9th.
Yes, and so May 16th follows that. That's
Okay. And so
your meeting.
recommendations are being considered amendments now?
Well, recommendations could be amendments, changes, revisions, deletions, but all of that has to happen by the second Monday in May.
I think the verbiage is so loose in how it's describing requirements of the council that we can't possibly say that recommendations also includes amendments to the budget.
Well, we're discussing an amendment, which we still have to finish the vote on suspending the rules, and then we could talk about. I agree with my colleague, but we can have that conversation during the next vote.
So let me call the roll. Mayor Buckley.
Aye.
Alderwoman Tierney.
Aye.
Alderwoman O'Neill. Aye. Alderwoman Kendall Charles.
Aye.
Alderwoman Finlayson.
Aye.
Alderman Shonda Meyer. Aye. Alderman Gay.
Yes.
Alderman Savage.
Aye.
Alderman Arnett. Aye. Okay, suspending of the rules pass.
So now it's a vote on
Second
the,
reader or motion for?
Yes,
mo-
second
now
reading.
the vote
Can I
is
get
for
a
second reader,
Motion.
to adopt on second reader.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second.
Alderman Gay.
So I can introduce the amendment to, okay. I'd like to make a motion to remove May 16th, 2022, or actually, I'd like to make an amendment to remove lines 1 through 3 on page 2.
I will go ahead and second it for getting it on the floor and discussing.
Okay.
Okay. Alderman Shannelmeyer had his hand up, and Alderman Savage.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, Alderman Gay, I understand that a lot can change in a short period of time. I do think having a deadline is somewhat important, though, so we can give our staff some time to vet and give us the best data possible. Would you be open to maybe extending the deadline to like the 30th of May? And that gives us a little bit closer of a game time and a little bit closer of a time to see any emerging issues to the formal meeting, and also gives our staff some time to vet.
The timeline is so, like, if you look, it says May 9th, 2022, Finance Committee budget report due at a regular city council meeting. Now, did you participate in the last budget process?
Yes.
Okay, I went to every meeting, along with my colleagues from Ward 4 and 8, who I have seen at every single meeting, and particularly throughout that week-long process. When you get all of those sheets, or the budget books from department, but finance has an opportunity to go through the presentation. They say that'll be done by the 9th. That would mean I would have a week to go through everything that was discussed in finance with departments or whatever as it relates to the budget to put my amendments in by that Tuesday. Now, I don't know how you all do it, but what I went through with the budget process is I went through every single page, found out what the page number was, the code number was, looked at the open gov, paired it up, took the dollars amounts, and submitted amendments one by one, 18 of them. That takes longer than a week.
I can see that, but would extending it to like a later date closer to the 6th be okay with you? My big concern is I do think we should give our finance staff like some time to kind of vet potential expenditures or income levels or something. Like it gives them some time to give us more information. So would be putting it to the 30th, like giving about another 2 weeks?
I will absolutely agree with you because I know Katie works really, really hard. Actually, I remember last year, and there was only 2 of them. So I will completely agree with you on that, and I would look for a solution there. Absolutely.
So would the 30th be something you'd be
I'm hearing the staff whisper, so they apparently must have a comment.
They have thoughts.
I'm gonna get the stuff to weigh in, if you could, Mr. City Manager and Jody.
Yeah, I'll start, and then Director Dickinson will add to it. But I think it's important to note that the budget comes to the council on April 11th. April 14th, we have a council work session during which we go over in detail the budget. So that's really the start date for development of amendments. It's not the May 9th, because there's already a lot of deliberations that have occurred prior to May 9th. That's when the Finance Committee submits their budget report to the council. But
So
certainly the budget can be reviewed prior to that May 9th date, starting April 11th. Director Dickinson, do you want to address how long you need to address amendments?
Yeah, so the city manager said about the budget's introduced in April. We have one or more work sessions to talk about it in detail. And then the departments all do their presentations either at the work session or during the Finance Committee meetings, which we have several Finance Committee meetings where we talk about all the details of the budget. So between that first council meeting in April and the first council meeting in May, there are numerous discussions about the budget. So when we had the problem 2 years ago, where we had too many last-minute amendments and we were scrambling and we were here till after midnight on the final night, the council decided to set a schedule so that we would have enough time to consider and draft all amendments well in advance of that final budget meeting where we're here all day. And so you've got a month between April and that May meeting when it's presented by the Finance Committee. And then the schedule gives a week or so past that day in May for the council members to gather their ideas and propose what they would like to change about what's in the budget. And then that gives us I think the council meets and discusses all the amendments there too, once they're prepared. We get the amendments mid-May. About a week later, we give you the drafted amendments, and then the council meets and talks about the amendments. So the first Monday in June, not the second Monday in June, is when we meet to deliberate about the budget. We do that earlier because we have to have it prepared for the county in mid-June. So if you were to back up this date to the end of May, we would only have 1 week to draft all your amendments and to get feedback, and then the voting on that first Monday in June would be more difficult and more time-consuming because the other council members haven't had a chance to think about the other amendments that have been presented. So it would be very difficult for us to get this done in that 1 week between the end of May and the first Monday of June. So we set this schedule to the dates that we would prefer. The schedule that we had last year was very helpful for us because there was much less of a last-minute scramble. And Katie and I will we're hoping to get some extra help during budget this year, but if that doesn't happen, it's going to be Katie and I again. So
would splitting the difference...
Alderman,
I'm sorry.
we've got to-
I think, let's go to someone that hasn't spoken. Alderman Arnett, and then Alderman Tyranny, thank you. And then Alderman Savage, thank you.
So I agree with the finance director. It is incredibly hard, and part of the reason we put this rigor into the schedule is because in years past, and I remember one glorious year when someone came in with 109 amendments the night of the meeting. And in fairness to the other council members, it does take time to think about this and time to talk to your colleagues that are submitting amendments that you may or may not like or may want to change. So the whole reason for adding this level of rigor was to give everybody time, but most importantly, the finance staff. This is an incredible burden, and it's an incredibly busy time for the staff. And, I understand what you're saying, Alderman Gay, but I just think this is a fair schedule for everybody, the staff, your colleagues, and it is intended to be an inducement to get council members to get their budget amendments in early and on time, so everybody can know what they are and give them the analysis and consideration that they're due. I don't know how you can push this back and expect to get anything passed in June. And the state does require that we get some things passed in order for them to promulgate, for example, the property tax rate. So we have some bigger concerns that pressure us on the end of the schedule as well.
Thank you. Alderman Tierney?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was just going to say what the city manager said as far as receiving the budget in April and starting to look at it then. And Alderman Gay, when you think of amendments, you can think of them as policy changes from the beginning in April, and think of things that you want to look at and revise. It isn't to wait until the budget is in its pretty much final form and take out and delete. This is more to start thinking about it ahead of time. And the other thing that Jody can talk to you about offline is the interrelationship with the line items, and that's why they need so much time. It isn't just a matter of taking out something and putting it back. There's a lot of correlation, a lot of relationships with other items in the budget, so they need the time. And 2 years ago, we really almost did make mistakes because they were rushing. And lastly, the other thing is, it's not fair to the staff that in the 11th hour, after they sat through all of those department meetings, after they sat through all of those meetings in the 11th hour, we say to them, look, can you take out this out of your budget? It isn't fair to them. So I think we have to do our job and start looking at it ahead of time and have an idea of some of the revisions that we want to make.
Thank you. Alderman Savage and Alderman Gay?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do agree with colleagues in the sense that we do clearly need a process, because we've been through some pretty just long and enduring budget processes. But my one concern really is with the second sentence, which says budget changes and amendments will not be accepted after this date, because that is pretty strong, and that could really, I think, mess up the entire process, even prevent us from introducing amendments later on. So I guess my question is really, does this trump the city code? Because perhaps this is all a moot point. Are these simply guidelines, or are these actual requirements? Because this is a resolution, and there's nothing that prevents us in the code from introducing an amendment as long as it follows Robert's rules. And I'm not sure a resolution would change that. So, I mean, I guess that's the fundamental question. Are these guidelines or requirements?
They're your rules.
But do they trump city code?
They don't, the code doesn't necessarily speak to a timeline like this.
I know, but this would fundamentally change what's in Robert's rules, which would restrict us from being able to introduce amendments during the process. And the way this is worded, I think, is a bit too broad in that it says budget changes and amendments will not be accepted after this date, May 16th. From who? Even from the mayor, even from the staff? It's not clarified here, and this would be a huge change to Robert's rules even.
Are you asking a question? Because it didn't sound like a question, it just sounds like a comment.
Well, so it sounds like you're saying these are our rules.
They are your rules.
My question is, does this trump city code? What takes precedence? Is it going to be Robert's rules, or is it going to be this thing that we can't?
A resolution doesn't trump the code. A resolution is just a sense of the council. It doesn't trump anything. It's just your rules for governing yourselves. Mm-hmm. The code rarely speaks to that in this detail.
So would this So even if this passes, would this prevent somebody from introducing an amendment on the floor the night of this vote on second reader?
Nothing would prevent the council from doing anything that is in its worst interest. If the council wants to not get the budget done, it could do that. But then you have a cascading effect, which, because part of the government is administrative. So the administration can't work if the legislative doesn't do what it's supposed to do within sufficient time. And I think the administration has told you what it requires. You can ignore all of that, but then it's whatever happens, happens. We don't know what that means.
Well, I'm not ignoring or disagreeing with the requirements staff laid out. I think they are requirements, and I think to have a proper, well-processed, a good budget process, because I think it is worthwhile pointing out all the other dates that are in here. This gives us plenty of time to get presentations from the committees and to develop amendments. But I just think if this is something that's, I just think that sentence is going to tie our hands too much if we do have some kind of amendment, which we usually do late in the game, a correction or whatever. Is this really going to tie our hands to prevent us from doing an amendment down the road? I mean, ultimately, it's going to be up to us. Maybe even we change it to say, I don't know. I'm trying to think of ways to do this to say even if we require that amendments have to have a sponsor in order to be, for staff to spend their time on them. I don't know.
City manager had his hand up, so.
Yes, so to answer that question, these same rules were in effect last year. The way it was handled is that amendments were proposed and the city council decided to follow the rule from the resolution and voted down those amendments. But the council would have the option to support the amendments if they so chose. So it didn't prohibit them from being introduced, but the council followed the resolution and voted them down, the last minute ones.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, in general, I'm not arguing against this. I think we should make every effort to follow these rules down the road. Thank you all for the clarifications.
Thank you. Alderman Gay?
Yeah, I appreciate it as well. And the recommendations, some of which was self-explanatory and I pretty much already knew. But as it relates to this, the agenda, the issue is not with trying to prohibit staff from being able to work effectively within the amount of time, that, that helps them. That's not stressful. The point is if you follow the schedule and if you're intimately involved in the process and you do attend all of these meetings, even so, if what he's saying is, right, oh, we get it in April, whatever, it still says here, May the 9th or May the 6th would be the last day of budget hearing, Finance Committee budget hearing and deliberations. And then it turns around and say May the 9th, the committee budget report will be due at a regular city council meeting. So that's 3 days. And even still, then I'd have just a week to turn around and put amendments in on the 16th. So your schedule is pretty jam-packed on people that are also working full-time jobs and doing a bunch of other stuff and trying to put in the amendments. And so that was my point. And I'm kind of done on discussion unless there are any other questions.
Okay, thank you. So a motion on a second to adopt R-33-21 on second reader.
With the amendment. You got to pass the amendment, got to vote on the amendment.
All in favor of the amendment.
The amendment is to delete line 1 through 3 on page 2.
On page 2.
Did that get put in?
It's a motion and a second, yes.
I got a second from Alderman Shannemeyer. Okay. Okay. All those in favor of the amendment say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. No.
Okay, the motion is defeated.
So a motion to adopt R-33-21 on second reader.
Second.
All those in favor, is it a roll call?
It is a roll call, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Mayor Buckley?
Aye.
Alderwoman Tierney?
Aye.
Alderwoman O'Neill? Aye. Alderwoman Pendle-Charles?
Aye.
Alderwoman Finlayson?
Aye.
Alderman Shandemeyer? Alderman Gay?
Aye.
Alderman Savage?
Aye.
Alderman Arnett?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. And that resolution passes.
Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is R 3421, fiscal year 2022 fees schedule, building code.
Is there a motion to adopt R-34-21 on first reader?
So moved.
Get a second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favour say aye. Aye. Opposed? I'd like to refer R-34-21 to the Finance Committee. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is O 3721, exempt service, position classification update.
Is there a motion to adopt O-37-21 on first reader?
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. I'd like to refer O-37-21 to Rules of City Government Committee. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is O 3821, illicit discharges and connections, stormwater.
Is there a motion to adopt O-38-21 on first reader?
So moved.
You get a second?
Second.
Alderman Savage.
Just like to have this be referred to environmental matters.
Anybody else? All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is O 3921, rental unit licenses, for the purpose of clarifying who is eligible to apply for rental unit licenses.
Is there a motion to adopt O-39-21 on first reader?
So moved.
Could I get a second? Second. Thank you. Alderman Tierney, did you
Yeah,
want?
just for those watching, we're going to have to rework this a little bit so it's clear that the objective is met, which is that only one licensee can hold only one STR. That's the objective of this legislation, and the wording is a little bit confusing. So we're going to be working on that.
Thank you. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. I'd like to refer O-39-21 to the Economic Matters Committee. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is O 4021, capital budget and capital improvement program, 100% electric mobility plan.
Is there a motion to adopt O-40-21 on first reader?
I have a question on this, Mr. Mayor. Support it, glad that you are doing this. Is it beneficial to include an amendment that would require departments to purchase electric vehicles? Because right now in the city code, it says, I think it says like as or something like that. It doesn't say that they should. And this, while is, a great effort, it does not speak directly to the city fleet, unless I'm reading it wrong.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, do we have a second on that?
Second.
Then we'll get 2 seconds. Let's ask the city manager.
Yeah, I think that's a worthwhile thing to do, but this is an amendment to the capital budget, the CIP. What you're proposing would be a change to the city code, which would be a separate issue. We can certainly work up something like that if you'd like, but I don't think that belongs within the CIP.
Thank you. Alderman Savage?
I'd like to also have this referred to environmental matters.
Alderman Tierney?
Yeah, I don't want to delay this, but it's more of a question. The policy is that the capital budget is reviewed by the Planning Commission. Should this be referred to the Planning Commission as well? It's a question.
Sure.
Okay. I ask that it be referred to the Planning Commission.
Alderman O'Neill?
Can I ask that it be referred to Transportation Commission?
Alderman Savage?
I was going to add environmental commission.
Who hasn't had a chance yet? We got you, Ross? Yeah. Or no. Okay, great. All right. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. And we've got Finance Committee already. Does that refer that? Thank you very much. Okay. All right. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, the agenda is complete.
No.
Did we move? Yeah.
My fault. Yep, you're right. We moved the one item from the front to the back. ID 23521, 2022 City Council work session dates.
I have a question as it relates to the comment that the city clerk made earlier. And I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody that's on the, what you said it was the election.
Mr. Mayor, this item is not on the floor.
Okay, can we move the item, please, in a second?
So moved.
A
Second.
Thank you. Alderman Gay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody in the election group. Would not the city council trump any commission? So I'm saying that to say, we move ourselves out a couple hours on this Thursday and we respectfully submit a letter to them saying Wednesday night, Tuesday night, or Friday night, so that we can keep the structure of having our work sessions on the third Thursday. We just extend that time.
That's fine. That's fine. They could, we could find another time for them to meet.
And we can do that with the letter? Is that what we can do?
You could, well, you just tell, if they're having a meeting,
I was saying the letter to be respectful. So we just not kicking them out, we're doing it by. I just say we move, look, for the purpose of people that are coming from work, obviously as late as possible, but I say if we do to and this is obviously with the council, 4 to 6, just because the 3 to 5, it always seems like something happens and we're never able to fully, and even if we say we're going to reschedule, then we push something else off of the agenda, and it just becomes repetitive. And I think that the work sessions are a fantastic opportunity for us to network on issues that haven't come before the council yet. So I actually enjoy them.
So we can make
5 to midnight is fine.
We can make that a goal. I agree with you. Alderman Chandler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So my issue with the current time of the work sessions is I do have a 9-to-5 job out in Washington, D.C. So I've never really been able to make these since we returned to them in person and I had to return to the office. I always have them on in the background, so I'm usually aware of what's going on, so I don't want to be that guy who derails the entire process over it, but it would make it easier for me if we started putting these at 5, 6 o'clock. I can even show up on time.
6 o'clock with pizza.
6 o'clock with pizza, exactly. Oh, my waistline doesn't need that.
Alderman Gay?
Madam,
you haven't got kids yet.
Madam Clerk, is it even possible to do, because I don't know if there are code implications as it relates to the work session scheduling. Would it even be possible to do a rolling, February work session will be at 3, March's is at 6, just to, make it easier for everybody to be involved? Is that possible? Very simple fix, but, it just extends the invitation for everyone.
I think we'll start to work some ideas around Mr. City Manager. Yep.
Oh, so this doesn't have to be done tonight? Oh, okay. I thought we were trying to suspend the rules. That's why I was throwing these ideas out now.
So the only thing that I think that we should do is just remove the Board of Elections from that Thursday, and then you can figure out what time you're gonna have your meeting on that Thursday.
Perfect.
We'll find them another time slot.
Thank you. Alderman Net and then Alderman Savage.
So I think 6 o'clock.
Sorry.
Or even.
I'm seeing your
or
hand
even.
Look to the side sometimes.
I certainly am happy with 6 o'clock or even later. This is really the one time that we get to talk to each other. Usually we fill these sessions full of talking heads, so there's no time at the end. So the nice thing about starting at 6 with no ending period is we can have as much dialogue with each other as we can stand. And if it goes late at night, it goes late at night. But so I wholeheartedly support this change of having these things start at 6. We are going to impact staff to some extent, and so we need to be thinking about that. But I think this is a good change. I support it.
Alderman Savage and Alderman Tierney. Oh, no, sorry, not Alderman Tierney. Sorry, Alderman Finlayson.
Finlayson, thank you.
And I do think we should do what we can to make accommodations for everybody if there's no way they can make it at 3. But I do want to say, as somebody with a child and family, it's good to not have too many evenings where I'm completely away from the home. Just to throw that out there, because it's, I mean, at least my work is flexible enough where I can make up the time or take off if I need to, but I know everybody doesn't have that luxury, so I'm open to alternatives.
Thank you. Alderman Finlayson?
Thank you. I'm hearing two different issues. One is the start time, and the other is not enough time to deliberate. So if we're not going to vote on this evening, then I would ask that you look at both issues, the start time, and maybe we need to extend the total time from 2 hours to 3 hours. But I like the idea of alternating between some early meetings and some late meetings. So as you're investigating the options, look at everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Tierney?
Yeah, thank you. I agree with Alderwoman Finlayson. I think we're conflating a couple of issues, and one of them is always seems to be that we crowd it with the agenda items. I mean, I think every work session we've gone over because we ran out of time. My opinion, I strongly recommend that we have hard stops. I think this council needs deadlines, or we would be there till midnight, and then I hate to say this, it's not a priority, but it's a consideration. We really need to be sensitive to our TV time and our TV crew. We can't, for cost reasons and also for their family lives as well. So I would agree maybe extending, but we really have to look at the agendas and make sure that we have an agenda that fits into that defined time slot.
Thank you. Alderman Savage?
Just quick, so I think we have to decide on this tonight, because we do have a work session scheduled for this
Thursday.
Thursday, yeah. So
I think we have to vote for it as it stands, and our city manager will work on some models for us. Is that okay? So we have a first and a second. It's on the floor to vote on it. So we will vote.
David wants to.
I was just going to add one other thing that's kind of out of the left field, but the garage is going to come down next spring, so I would just ask maybe that we consider, and we don't need a decision or even discussion tonight, but whether we want to move to virtual meetings starting when the garage comes down, because the difficulty parking, both for you all, but also for the people that come to these meetings, will increase greatly. So we may want to just think about that. I'm not suggesting it or not, but if there's interest in that, we should start planning for that.
That would open up some possibilities. That's good thinking. Thank you. Yeah, but you could do it on the bus. Okay. So we are going to vote on it. We will need to vote on this for the meeting that's coming up, right, at 3 o'clock. Yep. Okay. All those in favour, say aye. So we're voting on the 3 o'clock meetings. We are working on a model, and we're going to work on what times and what the requirements are and for City Hall at that time. So it's going to take a while to work those things out. We have a work session coming up very soon. We need to vote on that. Everybody?
So for clarification, if we do not approve this as currently written, we cannot have the work session on 12/16. Is that a correct?
That's not in this legislation.
It's not even on that calendar, no. You can have your work session on Thursday.
This is starting January 20th.
Right.
Oh, okay, sorry. I thought this was
So we can postpone action, can we not?
Second.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, that's out of order. You have a motion and a second on the approval of ID 23521 has to be voted on.
All right.
We wrote it down.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm going to say aye.
Aye.
Just,
Might need a
we'll
roll
do a
call.
roll call, please.
Okay. Mayor Buckley?
Aye.
Alderwoman Tierney?
Aye.
Alderwoman O'Neill? Sorry. Aye. Alderwoman Pendle Charles?
Aye.
Alderwoman Finlayson?
Nay.
Alderman Sandemeyer?
No.
Alderman Gay?
No.
Alderman Savage?
Aye.
Alderman Arnett?
No.
It passes. It passes.
Point of information.
Yes.
So this can come back at the next meeting for,
No,
Passed.
it's passed. ID 235 was passed.
I mean, just
what do you mean it passed? I thought we just
5-4.
voted it down.
No,
5-4.
we voted it,
Just
they
voted
voted
on
it
it.
up.
But, Mr. City Manager, please, how can we get to where to renegotiate that?
And I'll look to the city attorney, but I think we can always move these meetings that have passed. So if there's a desire, instead of 3 o'clock, having them at 6 o'clock, we can schedule it that way.
This is just your baseline. You can deviate
as
from it
the,
if you
the
want.
city attorney stated in the beginning, the council can always vote against their worst interest if they wish to.
We're really good at it. All right. So thank you, Mr. City Manager, for working on that for us. We'll get back to everybody. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
The agenda is complete, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
I have
Alderman Gay had his hand up first.
Okay, sorry.
Two things. One, someone just messaged me on the public. First, then I did not say that I do not like public safety, that I don't care for our public safety staff. I stated that I was not interested in serving on the Public Safety Committee. I understand and live through the crime that happens in Ward 6. I'm well aware of how much we need public safety. That's part of the reason why I wish to not serve on the Public Safety Committee. I just wanted to put that out there to set the record straight with the public. Secondly, does anybody else see this man on one side of the room and all the women are on the other side of the room? I'm like, what is going on here? But that's about halfway through. I'm like, wait, all the women are on this side of the room. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a new City Council game show. Alderman Pendle Charles.
Yes, I hear Alderman Gay, but what I'm willing to do, Alderman Gay, I see that you are on the Economic Matters Committee. I'm willing to serve on that committee in your stead. If that's okay with everyone else. I'm willing to serve on 4 committees.
Well, some of us are only in 2, so maybe we ought to have a little more debate on that. In fact, one of us isn't on the standing committee at all. Next year.
We will get, the City Manager will get on that. Thank you. Alderman Tierney.
Yeah, just a clarification on that resolution. Does that mean that there are no standing committee meetings until that resolution is passed by the city council? So there won't be any committee meetings, standing committee meetings till in January or
It's
so?
all or none. It's
Mr.
one
Mayor.
whole motion.
Thank you.
It could potentially, and please correct me if I'm wrong here, Mr. City Attorney, be passed if the full body is present on 12/16, which is In 3 days? When we meet as? Oh, because it's a work session? Okay.
Thank you. Alderman Savage.
But I guess just to point out, that is going to delay the process a bit because we won't be able to convene. When's our first meeting in January? The 10th? So we won't be able to have committee meetings until after that date, assuming we pass something, which I guess isn't that much of a delay. It's only
A week.
Yeah, so it's not too bad. Okay.
Thank you. All right, Alderman O'Neill, anything to say in your first work session? Susie, have you got some pins for? Okay. Well, I'm not going to make you take over Alderman Pound's. Alderman Shannemeyer.
Unless we have anything else on the agenda or any further discussion, I'd like to put forward a motion to adjourn.
All right, do I have a second? All those in favour say aye.
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 Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Yes.